You know, when something gets on stuff, that people need to know about it.
Oh man, I haven't visited that website in like over probably going on 2 years now because I refuse to give them my clicks. I just don't. I just hate it so much. I go Radio New Zealand or New Zealand subreddit. You generally talk about stuff on there.
Sure.
But Herald and stuff. I'm like, nah, go fuck yourselves. I'm not caving for that. G'day everyone, and welcome back to the Overcast Gamer Show. It is Sunday, the 29th of January. We're almost done first month of 2017, which is insane. I'm also joined by
Regan Harper.
And Baltzar Valentine.
And thank you for tuning in once more, guys. We've got some good chat to talk about today. We've got another game has been banned in New Zealand, which is going to be interesting because, we don't ban a huge amount of games, but when one does get banned, it just immediately makes you want to seek it out, right?
It does. I mean, it's almost like if I was making kind of a risque game, I would hope for it. I'd kind of hope for it. People are going to sort it out. I think probably people wouldn't be less likely to pay for it. But, I mean, at least it gets your name out there, you know. So
For sure. I think it's the old adage, any publicity is good publicity.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think, we'll have a yarn about that. But first of all, how you guys going? What have you been up to?
Not too much. What have I been doing the last couple of weeks? Moved house. Moved into a new place over in Kilburnie, which has been good.
Stuff, yep.
As part of it, there's many perks to a new place, I think. You get to go through all of your shit and get rid of stuff that you probably don't really need to hang on to.
Yeah. Are you a bit of a hoarder there, Regan, or are you sort of a fly by on the seat of your pants?
No, I absolutely have hoarding tendencies.
Yeah.
I used to be a high school teacher, and I have books that, when you're a kid in school and you have an exercise book and you fill up 2 or 3 pages and then you lose it.
Absolutely.
I had collection in my wardrobe, collections of books like that kids had lost, and I was like, I'm going to return that to that kid one day. And then I left my job and just kind of piled everything into a box and kept it all. That. I'm terrible, man.
I've got a similar thing because I own 350 notebooks. I'm not sure if I've mentioned that on the podcast before. One of my good friends used to work at a warehouse stationery. He gifted me one time for my birthday, I think it was, 350 notebooks. So
genuinely 350 notebooks?
Oh yeah, man. This box is full to the brim. Well, it's not anymore because I've used a bunch of them, but it's the greatest present I've ever received in my life.
Wow.
I'm a very practical, pragmatic type person. So to have notebooks on tap is amazing.
Totally. Are they just those little kind of paperback exercise notebooks?
The tiny ones. Yeah, I can't remember what they're called. They're usually about 5 cents a piece.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's phenomenal. I chuck one in my pocket pretty much wherever I go.
Yeah.
Just in case with a pen, just to write down any weird shit I might see around West Auckland.
The only thing about that is that when there's a surplus of shit like that, you end up just kind of using the first couple pages, referring to it once, and they're like, cool, well that one's done.
Yep,
toss that notebook. Yeah.
You've hit the nail on the head there, Regan. I have about 100 lying around various parts of my room, and they're all just got weird, inane ramblings in them, and I'm just like, what was I thinking when I wrote that? What's that related to?
Yeah, absolutely, man. But yeah,
great. So you guys also had a wee bit of a fright this morning. No internet for a couple hours.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so we had that decision to make when we first moved in of what internet provider do we go with?
Yep.
And I think I can't remember what it was in the end that meant that we just went with Spark. We just defaulted to, the behemoth that is Telecom/Spark.
Yeah.
And so far it's been pretty good. We got really good service at the actual place with the people. What do they call that again? Oh, a store. At the store.
The old store, yeah. The brick and mortar, very archaic.
It's the weirdest thing. It's like a place you go and there's people there and they help you with your things.
That's generally why I avoid it, because there's people there.
Yeah, totally. But it's been awesome until this morning, and apparently there's been kind of big national issues and breakouts. So we're recording this on Sunday afternoon.
Yep.
So Sunday morning. But yeah, they got us back up, which was cool. But yeah, we had a bit of a freak out. Couldn't watch Netflix. which is, usually a thing to do on Sunday morning. But other than that, it's been nice. I've got myself set up with we have a second room, which I've been fortunate enough to kind of dedicate to essentially my desk and my gaming stuff, which is...
Nice. Commandeered that one.
Yeah, absolutely awesome. So, yeah, no, it's good. Yeah. What about you guys? What's been going on?
Balthazar?
Not a lot. Going to work, playing games.
Yeah, just the usual.
Yeah.
Same old.
Yeah, I wish I could say, just those are the one thing. Like, going to work, and then when I arrive, playing games, and then when I get home, playing games as well.
Yeah.
But we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, it'd be amazing. That would be the dream, really, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Get to work.
Absolutely. Or even not even going to work, to be honest. Cut that one out, and that's the dream.
Yeah, true. Just get to play whatever games you like at any time.
Yeah. Yep, make content 24/7. Well, I did something a bit weird because I am in Auckland. There's a lot of weird stuff going on all the time, which is kind of cool. It just takes, bloody 3 hours to get anywhere around here. But I actually went to a Brazil Day yesterday, so celebrating the nation of Brazil down in Mount Albert in Auckland here.
I'm a bit intrigued by this. Like, how does that even become a thing? Like, is there just a Brazilian society that's just throwing this together?
Yeah, apparently, from judging from the amount of Brazilian people I saw there, or people wearing Brazilian flags and whatnot, I assume they're Brazilian. There's actually quite a large Brazilian community in Auckland. Now, I knew there was quite a few people from, South America in general, but I didn't actually realize it concentrated around Brazil. So that's kind of cool. I sort of went around, ate some very interesting things. I enjoyed all of it, but I'll tell you one thing. Have you guys ever tried chicken hearts?
I have. They're one of my favourite foods, and no one will ever believe me or try them when they're on a menu.
They are really good. Yeah,
really?
Yeah. I know as soon as I mention it to anyone, they're going to scrunch up their nose and be like, what the hell? Eat chicken feet as well? Do you eat the eyes? But they're really nice. They're sort of rich little pieces of meat. I wouldn't be able to eat a lot of them because they are so rich. They sort of remind me of maybe liver or something like that, if you've ever had liver.
Sure, yeah. What I enjoyed most about that was that Balthazar was like, yes, they are my favourite food. Devouring the hearts of small animals.
It reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Kalima! And ripping out the heart.
Yeah, do you take on their power and you slowly get stronger and stronger as you eat more chicken hearts? Is that something?
I mean, I've found myself sort of groveling around a bit more in the dirt, so, it could be I'm taking on the form of something like this. But really, really cool place. I think it must be an annual thing, and I assume it's probably around the same time. Now, I've got 2 long weekends in a row because I've got Auckland anniversary this Monday and Waitangi the next, so I'm assuming I get there every year from now on, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's awesome. We had Wellington anniversary. Which was nice. But the funny thing is, I work in a support role, and we obviously work in Wellington. We support the rest of the nation. And you come back in on Tuesday, and everyone from Auckland's like, "Where were you yesterday?" Like,
what? Everyone from Auckland gets real belligerent.
Yeah. Well, we had, and then you go, "Oh, we had Wellington anniversary." They go, "Oh, okay. Well, I had a really tough time." So, sorry about that.
Well, while you were gallivanting in your holiday, we were all stuck in traffic as per bloody usual.
Waitangi is going to be good times, though. Yeah,
Waitangi is. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I'm just loving it. It's been a bit of a slog since coming back from the holidays, trying to get back into the groove. So I'm enjoying these long weekends here. So let's cut the shit and get to a few things we've been playing.
What we should actually mention before we dive into that is perhaps what we want to do, what we want to kick off with the podcast in the coming sort of episodes is perhaps take a few questions from our amazing audience.
Definitely.
And sort of do our best to endeavour. They can be gaming related, they can be not gaming related, whatever questions you want to throw at the team here. So feel free to get in touch. Hit us up on our Facebook page or Twitter, or what other modes of communication do we have in this age? You could email us. You can find our email address on the website as well.
Overcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, so, the Gmail, yep. So throw those our way and we will see if we can get some questions answered.
Yeah, for sure. If you want us to compare Mitre 10 Bunnings say, desks from either of those two places. That's actually something I might be engaging in pretty soon. So, let me know if you have any questions about that, and I'll do some undercover snooping around.
But anywho, yeah, let's get into it.
Let's get into some things we've been playing. Regan. Now, I have written down here for you, same old shit. So let's get into that.
Yeah, same old bullshit. So with the move, very minimal time to actually... there's a lawnmower started outside. Hopefully that's okay. But same old shit. Essentially, I haven't had a whole lot of time to play anything. So trying to finish off Final Fantasy 15, which I think is the same thing I said last podcast.
But I'm chugging along on that.
Yeah, pretty close. I just haven't had much time, and it's the kind of game where you really need to sit down and play solid chunks of hours to really get anywhere with it.
Yep. Have you got the car to fly yet?
No, I don't have a flying car yet. No, so...
I don't know if that's a thing.
Yeah.
It was in the trailer. If it's not in the game, I'm going to be well angry.
Well, did you watch Star Wars Rogue One? Because, that trailer, wasn't in the movie. So
yeah. I didn't actually watch the trailer. I don't watch trailers, movie trailers, if people don't know. I'm a big... I hate spoilers. I hate them more than almost anything in the world. So I avoid teasers. I avoid trailers. I'm thinking about avoiding posters. Because there was actually a poster that had a massive spoiler in it that I saw the other day, and I got really angry. But that might be more practical, so I might draw the line just at teasers and trailers. But
what was the poster for?
It was for M. Night Shyamalan's Split.
Oh yeah.
Which we can talk about if we ever crank up a film podcast. But Regan, continue, man.
Not too much else other than that. With the new internet connection, I went from shitty broadband with a router at the other end of the house to being hardwired into our router on a decent broadband connection. So I decided to try a bit of Battlefield 1 again, just to see how that would play on a proper connection. That was nice. Yep. Turns out I'm not as bad as I thought I was. I just had a terrible internet connection.
So you've got better hit detection and things like that now.
Yeah, it seems it's a consistency thing. So it's kind of like, I don't know. Repeated shots like leading targets and things like that just function a lot better. It would seem, which is cool. And
so no more using lag as an excuse, Regan.
Yeah, no, not at all. Now it's just my ineptitude. And then just some Stardew Valley as well. Just in a few moments here and there. While I can. So nothing too much to report for me. It's been pretty mundane on the gaming front on my side. But
we've got a wee bit of a it's not a fully dry patch at the moment, but it is a little bit of a drought. We're going to have some pretty awesome games coming out in 1 to 2 months probably. So we're sort of just going through our back catalogs, I think, at the moment. And on that note, I'll talk about what I've been playing. So I picked up the PlayStation Plus game for last month, or it might have been January, actually, I can't remember. Day of the Tentacle, which is a LucasArts Double Fine game, which is a point-and-click adventure. Everyone from previous podcasts will know I love point-and-click adventures, as well as, if you've read my review of Broken Age, which was Tim Schafer, who is the head of Double Fine's previous sort of return of the point-and-click adventure, you will know that I really, really do not like Tim Schafer point-and-click adventures. They, as I mentioned in my Broken Age review, they're good up until a point where things seem to they take these leaps of logic for you combining items or clicking on things where it just makes no sense. There's no logical sound reasoning to what you're actually doing, and that makes me really angry, because the thing about the point-and-click that I love is that eureka moment you get when you actually combine two items and they form something. You're like, I can go use this on this now, and da-da-da-da-da-da. When you're just clicking through your inventory trying to combine, a 2x4 with a fish just because you don't know what you're doing, it takes a lot of the joy out of the point and click. And Day of the Tentacle suffers from exactly the same thing. Now, the start of probably the first half hour to an hour is really, really good. It all makes sense. I knew exactly what I was doing, knew what items I was looking for and what I was trying to combine. After a while, it just gets absolutely ridiculous. And I ended up having to use a guide for a great deal of that game.
Yeah.
I still haven't finished it. I've honestly just given up on it because I'm getting no satisfaction out of it whatsoever.
I've heard the same thing said about that game. Like it's basically, this is an HD remaster of a classic. It was from what, early 90s or something? Way back then?
Maybe mid 90s. Yeah, it was around the time when Grim Fandango and Sam and Max and all sorts of, the point and click adventure was king around that time.
Sure, yeah. It is a shame. Like, the thing that I get about those games is that they just make me feel dumb. Which is probably, I'm probably just dumb, but you have to, like you say, you got to make big leaps of logic, and when you do get it, there's no way to kind of trace it back to something that makes sense.
My thinking process goes like this. It goes, oh sweet, I have this item, I know where to use it, I can use it here. Hang on, I can't use it here, maybe I'm the idiot. I use it here? What the hell is this bullshit? That's the exact thought process with almost every single puzzle after the first sort of half hour to 45 minutes of this Tim Schafer puzzle point-and-click adventures.
Are there any redeeming factors?
It looks nice, for sure. The remaster is done really well. It sort of makes those... It's sort of a very... if anyone's played Sam and Max or Day of the Tentacle or the one about the motorbike, I can't remember what it's called, but they're very cartoony. They're very classic cartoony graphics. They're sort of they're comic-like. They look like comic panels, and it definitely looks very nice. Those colors pop. All the animations are really good. It's the sort of thing where if someone sprints off, they'll leave a dust cloud. It's very cartoony.
Yep, sure.
And that looks really nice. It's it shows when it was made. The humor is very 90s, very sort of stereotypes left, right, and center kind of thing, and the dialogue's all it's pretty hammy kind of thing. But it's apart from the puzzles just being completely infuriating, I would say it's actually a really well done remaster. But I mean, that lies in the game itself. That's not a detriment to the remaster. It's a detriment to Tim Schafer. You should make some puzzles that don't make me tear my hair out, mate.
Have you played many, if any, of the Phoenix Wright games?
No, I haven't actually played any Phoenix Wright.
So I'm not a huge point-and-click adventure player, but it sounds very much like Tim Schafer point-and-click games suffer from the same thing as Phoenix Wright games, where sort of. If you're lucky, all except the last case will make perfect logical sense. You present the evidence, you make your argument, and everything, the pieces come together. But there's always at least one inevitable case in every Phoenix Wright game where you've solved it. You know what the answer is. You're like, yes, I know how to link you to this. And you show them that piece of evidence, and the judge is just like, I'm going to deduct 10 points from Gryffindor. I don't think that's I don't know what he actually he says. He removes credibility or something. But there's always that point in those games where you're like, all right, so I've figured it out, but nobody else in the fucking room has figured it out yet. So I need to try and get them to think in a different way that will cause them to then arrive to the same conclusion where I can then present the right evidence. But because I just figured it out, because I'm smarter than, nothing,
every motherfucker in the room.
Programmed idiots. They've been programmed to be fucking stupid. I do not know what the fuck I can show them to make them realise how stupid they are.
Right, yeah.
And so you always reach that point where you just save it and then you present something. 10 points from Gryffindor, reload, present something else. And then eventually you get it, and he's like, you nailed it, Harry. Move on. I've completely forgotten how they talk in Phoenix Wright, so it's become Hogwarts.
Yeah, nice.
I would play a sort of Law and Order Harry Potter game.
Yeah.
I'd be very keen for that.
I've got a game for you then. Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. It's a very witch and wizard crafty.
Did they make a Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright crossover
on 3DS?
Wow.
I'll have to check that out. I'm still trying to finish my first Professor Layton game, which was Miracle Mask, which I kind of just... I don't know, the puzzles in that are really hard.
Yeah, I've only made it through one Professor Layton game. I find them all to get tedious towards the ends, but that's just my mentality as well. I try to do as many puzzles as possible before I go to conclude the story. But then I realised, why am I doing this? I'm not enjoying these puzzles anymore because I'm just grinding them all to 100% complete.
So it's gotten to the point for me with games where if I know I'm not enjoying myself, like I was in Day of the Tentacle, where I was just literally just using a guide and just doing everything it said in the guide, I was like, why the hell am I even playing this?
Yeah, fuck that, man. It's like bad coffee. Ain't no one got time for bad coffee. Same thing, like, when there's so many games out there that are great,
But did you buy the coffee, or was it free?
Wow.
Because if I paid for it, I'd finish it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm assuming that the coffee was free. Right, but yeah. Anyway.
Metaphor's sending us into a tailspin. The last thing I sort of played in the last 2 weeks was the Sleeping Dogs Definitive Edition. So 2 remasters. Sleeping Dogs is at this time still $8 on the PlayStation Store. Go out and pick it up if you haven't, because it's a really, really fun game. So a little bit of history about Sleeping Dogs. If anyone remembers the game, the series back from PlayStation 2, True Crime, Streets of LA. Anyone remember that?
Anyone here? No.
Any of you guys? No. Okay, so it was essentially a GTA clone.
Did you make this game up, babe? Did you make it up?
No. It was really good too. It was. It has a sequel, True Crime Streets of New York, I think, and it was a GTA clone, but it was really, really good. It was really fun. It had an emphasis on melee combat as opposed to GTA, which is more gunplay kind of thing.
Yep.
And maybe 5 years ago or so, they were making True Crime Streets of Hong Kong. It was going to be the third one in the series. That whole development got stifled, and then eventually the company, I think, went under. Someone else picked that game up a year or two later and finished it under the title of Sleeping Dogs. So Sleeping Dogs is essentially True Crime Streets of Hong Kong, just under a different title. It's really good. You play Wei Shen, who's a Hong Kong American he's been living in America for about 10 years, and he's come back to Hong Kong, I think. He's also an undercover cop. So you have to sort of balance these 2 meters. You're working for the triads, and you're also working for the police. So you have these meters you have on each mission. If you kill civilians, obviously the cops aren't going to like you, and you'll lose points on ranking up with the cops. And if you kill colleagues in the triads kind of thing, similar thing. It sounds very much like GTA, but it's also a lot more fun in a way than GTA. It sort of throws away a lot of the realism of that GTA goes for, a lot of the verisimilitude, and goes for arcadey style things. So you can, an example of this is you can drive along, hold down X, and you'll open your door. And if you're just driving along and you press X and you open your door, you're like, what the hell is that? Why is this a function? Can I not see through my windscreen? Is it too foggy or something? And you're actually, if you get close to another car, he will jump from your car onto the roof of that car, and you can hijack them essentially from midair, which is freaking awesome, and something I haven't seen since the PSP game Pursuit Force, which I'm not sure if you guys ever played. But
is that another made-up game?
These are all just completely coming out of the ether. Games I haven't even thought about for like a decade. But no, it's really, really good. It's really fun. The melee combat is solid. There's a decent-sized city for you to drive around. It's not too big. It's not too overwhelming. And yeah, there's just an emphasis on melee combat, which is not something we generally get in open world, third-person adventures.
Makes you feel like a real badass, though.
It really does. I mean, it's really brutal too, like incredibly brutal. I've already stabbed a dude through the face with a swordfish, and I've taken on a bunch of dudes and just sort of chopped them up with meat cleavers or put someone's head into a fan. It's really, really brutal. A lot of fun. I'd highly recommend that. $8, you can't go wrong.
Gone into the karaoke much?
I haven't done any of the karaoke yet.
There's karaoke in that game?
You can become the undisputed king of karaoke.
The Balthazar, I'm saving myself on the karaoke front for Yakuza 0.
Ah, yes.
So yeah, once I can get my hands on that, I think I'll probably go full karaoke. But yeah, that's about all I've been playing. Balthazar, what have you been up to?
It's been a Square Enix fortnight for me, but
nice.
Nothing new there, really. I do a lot of well, there's been Blizzard, but there's always Blizzard, so...
Yeah.
Back into Final Fantasy XIV pretty hard. They released a new update with new dungeons and gear and story, and it's a goodbye update, kind of, which is always a bit sad, but it's also a see you later update, so that's,
see you soon type update.
Quests, it's sort of the final quest in the chain, because the new expansion is coming out in June. So there's quests like the Hildebrand quests, where he's an inspector and you help him solve crimes, but actually he's really shit at his job, so you do it all and then he claims credit. And so it's the last part in his thing, and much like the end of the core game, when his quest ended, he basically gets Team Rocket blasted off into space, and dot and the star in the sky.
He becomes
and then you'll
God.
later on find him in the next expansion. He'll have crashed down, and you'll pull him out of the ground. You're like, oh, it's Hildebrand. Let's go do shit together again and have you take it all. But no, so it was one of those updates where every quest was wrapping up, and you're like, oh, it's a little bit sad, but it's all going to come back again in June and be good. So, and then other than that, it's been grinding in it. But I've been back on the PS4 a little bit. I picked up Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Prologue, which starters, I would really like to pick apart that name. Now, the decimal point, let's move past that. That's not even the most outrageous part.
I'd like a brief explanation for the decimal point, because it does, just...
I don't know.
There's no way to justify
There's no explanation.
I guess the justification is they already released 2.5, which wasn't 2.5. It was a remake of 2 that also included Birth by Sleep, which was the first game in the series before Kingdom Hearts 1 chronologically. So I don't know why that made it further along than 2. When it had something that came before 1. So I guess they figured, well, we've already done 2.5.
I'm already confused.
So this next one has to be after that still, but it's still not Kingdom Hearts 3 yet, so let's just call it fucking 2.8.
Let's not forget that this is also the series that gave us, what was it, Kingdom Hearts back cover or something?
Back cover was a part of 2.8. Yeah.
That's the name. Kingdom Hearts back cover. I don't even know.
So is it a new game, or is it a remaster of an old game?
But I'm not done with the title. So 2.8 isn't the part that I don't like. The part I don't like is the final prologue.
That itself is an oxymoron.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. So A, it's oxymoronical on its own. B, the games included in 2.8 all take place either alongside 1 and 2, is one of them, or after 2. No part of this game is a prologue, unless it's implying that literally everything that's come out so far is a prologue to 3, in which case, if 3 isn't 10 times the length of all previous games combined, it's not a prologue. So, A, Square, sort your shit out with names.
It's becoming a thing for them, though, right? Like, I feel like when Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, I'm going to be disappointed that it doesn't have a stupid name.
It'll be Kingdom Hearts 3, 50 words after.
That's
how, the final game of Kingdom Hearts, but not just the last game with Sora in Kingdom Hearts now.
It'll be called First Initial Epilogue or something.
Yeah.
Start off main body.
Yeah.
So to the game itself, and to answer your questions as to what it is, so as far as I'm aware, back cover is new. Back cover was the first thing I booted up. It's an animated 55-minute movie.
Not a game.
Not a game.
So now you're not stretching the truth here. Is it legitimately just one big cutscene?
Legitimately, it's just a movie. It's just a cutscene, but it's a Hideo Kojima. Let's get them with 55 minutes of cutscene, so they think it's an intro to a game, but there's no game.
Wow.
If this came out last year, I would give it most Hideo Kojima move not pulled by Hideo Kojima. So yeah, it is just a movie. To be honest, no surprises. Yes, I'm surprised because it was new content kind of thing, so I was like, oh, it would have been really cool to play it. But 1.5 and 2.5 were also both 2 games and 1 cutscene amalgamation of a mobile game that they couldn't HD upscale to be an actual console game.
Right.
So instead, they just made it a movie to tell the story of it. The reason why I thought this might be different is, as far as I'm aware, back cover was that was never a game. That's not an upscale of something into a movie. It's just a new story that they've decided to tell as a movie rather than a game.
It's okay. I guess it's kind of like with let's say, for example, games that have movies in their canon. Square do it quite a bit. Like Kingsglaive was a prologue to to Final Fantasy 15. The only difference really is that it's kind of shipped with a game rather than just shipping as a movie by itself.
Yeah.
Hitman had the wonderful film that came along with that game.
Brilliant. Yeah. Truly
inspired. Yeah.
So yeah, there was the movie and then the 2 games on it. As far as I'm aware, both HD remakes. So another stupid decimal, I apologise. I don't know what for, I didn't make it. Birth by Sleep 0.2, a fragmentary passage. Now,
Jesus.
0.2, it doesn't come before Birth by Sleep. So why is it 0.2? It comes after it. Someone just needs to teach them numbers and how they work. Yeah, it's not 0.2. If anything, it's 1.2 for Birth by Sleep. But, which I believe was... Now, I could be wrong. It could be new, because playing it, the upscaling done on it is much better than any of the previous HD upscaling of old Kingdom Hearts games, so it's possible this is new. Because if it did release prior, it was a Japanese exclusive PS Vita release, is my theory.
And you just never got your hands on it. Yeah.
So we never got it, but it's possible that's not the case, and actually it is entirely new. I don't know.
You still following this, Abe?
Not even in the slightest. It's completely... I'm way back on the track now.
Yeah. This is the one I finished. I finished a fragmentary, finished it last night. It was probably about... I have no idea. I can't guess as to the gameplay time, because I kept starting it in the morning, walking away for the day, doing that stuff, playing some more in the evening. So my save file is like 15 hours.
Oh, right.
Because I kept leaving it running. It's probably actually 5 hours, maybe. Which, again, is why I believe it was a kind of DLC. I think that's how I sold it to you guys earlier as well. I said this game feels like it's a remake of a game, a DLC for another game, and a movie. This is the one that it feels like a DLC. It was quite short, I'm pretty sure.
So they've basically just repackaged earlier content and sold it on again and tacked a movie on the side.
The big one is Dream Drop Distance, which was the 3DS game.
Okay.
Now, this is the final game thus far, so this comes after everything else. This is the reason for the purchase. If you haven't played Dream Drop Distance on 3DS, you didn't have a 3DS, or you never got around to playing it, and you've played the previous games, this package is worth it for Dream Drop Distance.
Right.
One of my favourite Kingdom Hearts games. But it's one of those stupid things. You don't need to try and sell this package. If you play Kingdom Hearts games, you're buying it. You just are. And if you're not playing it, you're not going to buy it because you're not in. And at this point, if you're not in, don't fucking get in. Like, this rabbit hole in gaming history.
I'm kind of tempted to dive into this hole because I played one and two from memory back in the day when they were, on PlayStation 2 and thought they were great. Awesome, super fun games. But then, I got out for a while. Yeah. Well, I've been out since then to now, and now all of these numbers and the decimal points and the extra canon stuff, it almost makes it too overwhelming.
Yeah.
And
to an outsider, absolutely. But I mean, as I said to you guys before, having played them all, there is no dispute to the timeline. You know the order everything comes in, and it does all make sense in order. The problem is their numbering system is fucked up, and their numbering system isn't even consistent, not just with decimal points, but they number things incorrectly for its order within the franchise. They just don't know what they're doing. So if you just don't actually acknowledge the names or numbers associated with the games and play them in chronological order, which if you decide to pick them up, I can tell you the chronological order, it will make sense as a series that goes through.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is throw out the instruction manual and just
turn to the back cover.
Ignore the developer notes and just play it as you would imagine it should be played.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, and I, as much as... I'll make it clear, I already bought Kingdom Hearts 1.5 and 2.5 on PS3, which were the remakes. 1.5 was the remake of number 1 and the Game Boy Advance game, Train of Memories, and then 358 over 2 days, which was I didn't even tell you where that came in. I told you that it existed until now, which was a regular DS game. That was the one that was remastered to just be cutscenes. And then 2.5 was Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, something else. Recoded, maybe? Yeah, as a movie, again.
Yeah.
Just the cutscenes.
So this is something they've been doing for quite a while.
They've always done it. I think I just didn't see it coming this time because, as far as I was aware, it wasn't remastering an old game that couldn't be upscaled to be things. It was all new content, and that being the case, I was just hopeful that they'd do it as a game. But despite the fact that I purchased both of those on PS3, damn straight I'll purchase
them again.
And 2.5 both on the same disc on PS4, which is all Kingdom Hearts content released to this date from every system, all combined on one PS4 disc. Fuck yeah.
and
buy that as well, because that's how deep in the rabbit hole you
that's
get.
coming up, right? That's
March this year.
March. See, that sounds approachable to me. I think if I get it all as a nice, like, packaged, piece of content, I'm all about that. Like, it removes all of these 1.8s and 3.2s and 0.009s.
Those stupid names, but the game will be presented as a list, and you can just work your way from top to bottom. And even if top to bottom is in chronological order, it'll probably be release order, which still is the order I experienced it in, and I can make sense of it.
I feel like there's a certain aspect to that series where you want to be a little bit confused about timeline, though, and then eventually it all kind of falls into place, and you go, like, you know.
I got to be honest, guys. If I have a craving to play a Disney video game or a game with any sort of Disney characters in it, I'm probably just going to play Epic Mickey on the Wii. Because that's a legitimately good game, and that'll sort of quell my cravings for Disney.
I dispute the title, because Epic Mickey isn't as epic as Keyblade Master Mickey in Kingdom Hearts. He's way more intense.
Is Mickey a Keyblade Master?
He is, yeah.
Well, I think we'll have to move on from.
We will.
I'm sorry, everyone. If you managed to follow that, well done, because my mind is wrapping around itself at the moment. So.
And as much as we called for questions at the start of the podcast, if your questions are going to be anything about the franchise in any way, don't. Also, if the questions are actually just going to be comments saying, well, actually, you said that this was this, but I'm not a master of the fucking series. I've just played the games and I enjoy them. I acknowledge that I may have some things out of order or wrong, because that's how fucking convoluted the franchise is. So no questions about Kingdom Hearts.
Moratorium on Kingdom Hearts. Q&A.
I'm gonna create my own email address.
Kingdom Hearts again on the podcast, except A, to acknowledge in March that I purchased the remake. And B, whenever the fuck they actually release 3, to say 3's finally out.
Yeah,
that's it. Moratorium on us as well. I'm not going to bring it up again.
There you go.
So, as with The Witcher 3, we won't be talking about Kingdom Hearts again for a while, at least. So that's all very well. So let's move on to some news here. And as I teased at the start of the podcast, new game banned in New Zealand. Now, this game is called Gal *Gun, GAL *GUN. It's all one word, and it looks to have been it's come straight from Japan, and it looks to have been banned for sexual content with regard to rape and underage female students. Now, we won't get too much into that, because this is a pretty, I don't really want to talk about it because it's pretty grotty, but it is interesting anytime a game gets banned here, because we do have a pretty chill censorship board, I would say, in general. I mean, we got Mortal Kombat 9, we got Mortal Kombat X. Australia is the one who gets shafted on all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I won't forgive Australia for giving me the censored version of South Park, The Stick of Truth. We got, instead of the lovely Nazi fetus scenes and the alien probe rape, we got a big splash screen with a crying koala that says, "Sorry, Australia, you can't watch this bit." Nah.
They really took the piss with that too, eh?
Yeah. Europe also, I should mention, had a censored version as well. So it wasn't just Aussie. Europe also had a EU flag with a crying statue of David in there. So it's censored almost everywhere except America. And I should mention the Steam version wasn't censored, so it was just the console versions. But yeah, we don't have mini games banned. We had Manhunt 2, Reservoir Dogs the game, which is bizarre. I
didn't even know that there was a thing.
I mean, the movie's great, but was there any call for a game? Not really. And the fact that the game focuses on the heist, the whole point of the movie is there is no heist. You don't see the heist. That's really strange. I'm not sure who. I don't think Quentin Tarantino signed off on that. But that got banned. Postal 2 obviously got banned by Running with Scissors. Awful game, by the way. I've played Postal 2. It is rubbish. Absolute tripe. Don't go near that one.
Not the end of the world that we didn't get it then.
Not at all. No. Manhunt's worth a pop if you can get your hands on it. I'm not going to say how you can, but rest assured you can. That's definitely worth a pop. It's a Rockstar game, so obviously there's going to be some level of quality in there.
Yep.
It is pretty brutal. I mean, it does look like dog shit nowadays because it's PS2. But it is, it's well worth a go. And Manhunt 2 as well. Manhunt 2 was an interesting one. I played it on a Wii, So, to kill people, you actually had to do the motions with the Wii controller.
Brilliant.
Interesting game to end up on the Wii. It's a very strange decision by Rockstar and Nintendo.
Yeah,
but
it just doesn't seem to fit the idea in my mind that of the Wii. Like it's such a happy family kind of console. It's like
when you're sort of doing these sort of stabbing motions and then like cutting someone's throat by sort of dragging it horizontally across the air.
Wonder what that would be like with HD Rumble on the Switch.
Oh,
imagine
wonderful!
That.
Yeah, you could really feel the blood leaving people's bodies.
Running all down those ice cubes.
Yeah,
as opposed to the ice cubes in the cup, it'll just be like blood as it drains from someone. But interesting thing to happen there. It looks like it's been banned because essentially the game doesn't really have a difficulty or a death state, or what do you call it?
Fail state.
Fail state, that's the one, yeah. So that seems to be the main reason it's been banned, because that would sort of imply that it's only there for titillation and for people to be dirty pervs.
Now, I've got some information here, which I chuckled at when I saw it. So currently it's 33% off on Steam, with a rating of 9 out of 10.
Wow. Can you read one of the Steam reviews out, Balthazar?
I can't. So, unfortunately, I get this information from Google, but I can't follow the links to the reviews or anything because the page doesn't exist on a New Zealand connection.
That's unfortunate.
It's not allowed to be sold in New Zealand, and I can't be bothered turning on the VPN and everything right now. The description of the game is: when Hodai is shot by Cupid Angel Ikoro, he becomes immensely popular, and suddenly every girl at the academy becomes hot for him. That's the description of the game. No idea how that's a game.
It's always the academy.
The academy. Yeah, it's because it's, despite the fact that, it was banned for potentially underage, girl rape, they use academy strategically because it doesn't actually indicate an age. An academy could be, a university or something, or it could indeed be a school, as people, a primary or high school, as people assume it to be. Some additional information about this game: it actually came out, it released in 2015. August 2015 is when it released in Japan.
Oh, wow.
And then it came out in Europe and North America, July and August, respectively, last year. So it being banned from release coming out now as news is odd, because it seems like we normally get simultaneous release with Europe. So it should have been July last year.
Maybe the New Zealand censors just have a big backlog of stuff they're trying to get through, and they finally got around to Galgun.
People who search this also search the game Senran Kagura, which I'm only mentioning because that is a franchise that the missus has multiple entries in.
What do you guys think?
Plays those booby games.
Good on her. What do you guys think of game censorship in general? Do you think it's I suppose this is going to be extrapolated across a lot of forms of media, but do you think it's something that we need, something that is important?
I think
I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of censorship in general, but when it comes to things that are just there, as this game looks to be, with no really artistic merit, and they're just there to, for people to be pervs, not a huge fan of that. I'd rather those games probably weren't around and were sort of removed from the system, just because if they exist, there could be people who are going to obviously copycat them and things like that. So. It's a tricky one, because I'm vehemently against censorship, but I'm also vehemently against poor art.
I think the thing for me that kind of sticks out, kind of not necessarily against what you're saying, but just to kind of seek further clarification, is it's not globally banned. It's only banned in New Zealand. So is by that nature, is that an admission of saying New Zealanders and Australians are more prone to being copycats than Americans or Europeans? Because essentially that's what they're saying. By only banning it here, they're just saying we only believe that people in these countries will react poorly in response to this media. Which in itself is just saying, I guess these two countries are just less mature or less able to, consume this content responsibly than anyone else in the world.
Yeah, or perhaps the moral implications of those countries are different as opposed to other ones. New Zealand, I think we, I would say we do have a pretty good moral compass here in New Zealand. I think most bullshit is called out and usually solved. I would bring your guys' attention to, I'm sorry to bring up X Factor, but the two people, I can't remember, Willie someone and some chick, Natalia or something. ragged on one of the contestants and got fired from it because New Zealanders just they won't stand for that sort of bullying. We were like, nah, cut your bullshit, get out of here.
It was quite the scandal when that happened, wasn't it?
Yeah, pack your bags, get it. Yeah, it was. And I was actually quite proud of our nation for doing that because those two were, obviously they were told to be mean for TV, but they took it a wee bit too far. And we just don't stand for that sort of bullshit. So we're like, nah, get out.
Yeah, you're gone.
Yep.
I think for me, the thing about the whole banning content thing purely in one region is that we live in an age of online distribution in which banning something in a region doesn't prevent people in that region from getting it. So yeah, for me it does always just become either ban it outright or just accept that it's going to be consumed. Yeah, chuck the highest restricted rating on it that you can to try and prevent people from, who aren't full adults capable of making informed decisions from consuming it. But either ban it so that it can't be consumed if you believe it's that objectionable, or just slap the highest rating on it and let people make that choice for themselves. Because as we said earlier, the whole banning of it makes people who are able to make that decision for themselves more likely to make it, because they're like, what's all the fuss about? I want to see why this is so objectionable now.
Exactly. It's that ingrained.
It won't be. People who play it will just be like, they'll just say, what? This is crap. I've now, because of the media, I've made the foolish decision to purchase this $60 game, which I played for 5 minutes, realised is just the immature crap they said it was going to be. And so now I regret the purchase I otherwise wouldn't have made, because had I been able to see it on store shelves instead of purchase it from some illegitimate overseas retailer who doesn't properly market the game, I didn't make an informed decision. I made a media-based decision, which is the worst fucking kind.
Yeah, and I'll also bring your guys' attention to another, I think it was last year, it might have been the year before, a book actually got banned in New Zealand, which hasn't happened bloody years, I think. We had American Psycho isn't banned, but it's available. It's not available on shelves. You have to actually ask for that, and it's generally under the counter and sealed and wrap kind of thing. So that book wasn't banned. It was banned at a point, but they took that back. A book came out 2 years ago. I think it was called Into the River or something like that, and that actually got banned for a while. There was a whole bunch of Christian lobbyists who got that book removed from libraries. It was a young adult book, and it dealt with I think some forms of sexuality or something, and they weren't happy about that. Following that, there was actually the censorship board reconsidered their decision, and now the book is actually available. So we do reverse decisions when necessary. It isn't just a one and done kind of thing and let's move on. It's always in the public sphere. It's always a conversation up for debate.
I'd be interested to know who sits on this board, Like if it's just a group of, 60-year-old men and women just kind of being constantly shocked about the things that come across their desks. Can we let this go out to the public?
It was pretty cool. I remember going on a sort of school trip, a field trip kind of thing back in high school and college during my media studies class, and we went to the censorship board in New Zealand. The chief censor at the time was Bill Hastings, and it was really interesting. We actually got to watch a film and then decide what we thought it would be rated. And I found that all really fascinating because I think, as you mentioned, Regan, there is a board of people who just sit and go through all the stuff and decide if something gets deemed objectionable, that means it's not available. That essentially is code word for banned. And we did get to see a list of things that were deemed objectionable. Not only video games, films, some music was even banned. Things like images were banned. Things like T-shirts were banned. There's a very famous band shirt. I think this might have been appealed actually now, but there's a black metal, semi-black metal band called Cradle of Filth from the UK.
Sure, yeah.
And they're pretty famous and they're kind of like Marilyn Manson. They're a bit shock rocky, and they made a T-shirt which had a nun pleasuring herself with a crucifix, and on the back it said Jesus was a cunt. So that actually got banned at the time. So it's not only electronic media that they're sifting through. It's images, it's T-shirts, it's everything. So
Must be a hard job. Must be. Yeah.
Absolutely, but interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on this story actually, because it could, things have been reversed in past. So I don't think there's going to be a committee of people lobbying for this game to be unbanned, to be honest. But definitely going to keep an eye on it there, just in case. But we'll move on to the next topic, which is 2017. There's loads of good games coming out this year. And I was just curious as to two things from both of you guys. What do you think is going to be... Now, I said most anticipated before, but let's change that to what do you think the best game is going to be this year? And what do you think the biggest shitbox of 2017 is going to be? We'll lead with you, Regan.
So I am going to say that the best game of this year is going to be Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yep,
which
solid choice.
Is just because it's... I mean, we all know it's going to be good. I think it's going to be amazing. I think it's probably going to be... like the original game was probably my favourite game of all time at the time.
Yep.
And still absolutely up there. And I think this can only be better when you consider the technology that Rockstar seems to have at their disposal.
This will be an advanced version of the GTA 5 Rage engine. Yeah,
which just the mind boggles at what that's going to be capable of. Especially when you consider that it doesn't have to worry too much about things like traffic density and having lots of people and all that kind of thing. They can put that power towards other things.
Rendering individual blades of grass.
Exactly. Stuff like that. That's, so that sort of stuff gets me super excited. And I can just imagine we're going to do a live stream when that game comes out, and all it'll be is just us walking into things.
If it's me, it'll be me mucking around with cloth for hours on end.
Cloth physics, standing on...
Dudes you shoot, you'll run up and stare at him for 5 minutes from all angles, trying to see if the blood is pooling.
That's absolutely correct.
Consistent in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
Standing on top of hills, listening to the wind.
Yep.
Yeah, all sorts of things like that, which is going to be pretty special.
Awesome. Regan, do you want to give a predicted score? Let's say out of 10. What do you think the general masses are going to give their game?
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think so. I mean, as long as they nail the story, because like the game mechanics and everything can be perfect, but people are going to want a story. They're going to want character-driven stuff. They're going to want to feel involved with whoever it is that we're controlling. Yep. We still don't know who that will be. Seems like it could be John again, but we don't know. So that's, I'm giving it 10 out of 10. I'm
10 out of 10. All right.
preemptively giving it a perfect score.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, what do you think the worst game is going to be? Now, I would say, don't pick games that we know are going to be terrible. Would obviously look terrible. There's that horrible game that for some reason Sony has attached to themselves in their advertising. I think it's called Black Tiger or something like that. And it honestly looks like a maybe late PS1 game, early PS2 game. Ooh. It is atrocious. And for some reason, Sony, they have early access available for this, which is garbage. Everyone on the internet is confused as to how this game got through. I advise people to look it up. I might put it in the show notes, put the trailer in the show notes, but it's bizarre. Anyway,
I think we do need to clarify here, because it will pick my answer when we get to me. Is it, what do we think is going to be the worst game of 2017, or what do we think is going to be the biggest shitbox of 2017? Because those are different things.
How would you define...
No Man's Sky was the biggest shitbox 2016. It was not the worst game that came out in 2016. There were worse games that came out, but it was the biggest shitbox because of the hype around it, the media attention, and because of how far it failed to deliver upon what it promised.
Yeah.
It wasn't the worst game that came out, but it was the biggest shitbox. And my answer will change based on what we're calling this choice.
Okay, I want to stick with biggest shitbox. So essentially something that's going to let everyone down considerably.
That's going to be tough. I think it's going to sound bad, but I think it's going to have something to do with the Switch.
Okay.
And I think given if we're going shitbox, and given that it sounds like this is going to be a fully priced title, it's probably something like ARMS or 1-2 Switch.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, both the titles that all three of us don't really have too much.
Yeah,
interest in.
I'm not paying $80-$90 for something that is essentially going to be the same thing over and over again, or mini experiences that are just little tech demos that are just going to, I'll play once or twice, and I might play with a friend once or twice, and that's it. If we're going on shitbox, I'm going on one of those early Nintendo releases.
Do you want to just pick one there, Regan?
Okay. I'll go 1-2 Switch.
1-2 Switch, and what sort of score do you think this might receive?
4, 3, 4.
4? 4?
Four.
Okay. we'll jot that down. I'm actually going to make note of these to see if any of us get any of these correct. So we'll put a 4 for 1-2 Switch.
Yep.
4 out of 10. That's pretty gutting to Nintendo. I think they used that to lead their presentation. Which
yeah. Hey, look, I really
got
hope
a lot of hope in it.
Yeah, I hope it works out for you, Nintendo. But I'm not convinced. Yeah.
Unfortunate. Balthazar.
So I had to have a quick think because obviously, as you said, you changed it from most anticipated to what we think would be the best. My most anticipated was easily going to be Mass Effect Andromeda.
Right.
But I don't think that's going to be the best game. I don't think it's going to be getting 10 out of 10s. I think there's going to be a lot of contention in the media and with the fan base about whether or not... I mean, it's BioWare. Did they treat the genders equally and fairly and blah, blah, blah? There's going to be romance options and people are going to get pissed off either way. So it's definitely not going to be getting 10 out of 10 across the board, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
So I think the best game of 2017 will be South Park: The Fractured But Whole.
Oh man,
nice.
You've taken. We're both in agreement on that, Balthazar. Yeah. That was mine as well.
I think it's going to be another. It's going to be like Regan's predicted for Red Dead. It's going to be a 10 out of 10 across the board. They are going to build upon what they did with the Stick of Truth, which already, as it stood when it came out, in my mind, was the best video game adaptation of a previously existing IP. And they are just going to build upon what they learned for number one and make it even bigger and better for this game. And the fact that they're bundling Stick of Truth with Fractured But Whole as well.
Yeah.
There's no way the game's going to go wrong because even if Fractured But Whole is not immensely better than the first game, it comes with the first game as well, which was a 10 out of 10 game. So.
Yeah. It's that was one that came out of nowhere. That surprised everyone because all South Park games prior to that have been pretty average. There was South Park Racing on PS1. There was South Park, I think it's just called South Park on Nintendo 64, which was
game. Yep.
yeah, that wasn't great. And I think there must have been more, but yeah, they've all been pretty average. But as you mentioned, Stick of Truth, phenomenal game.
And also, coming with Fractured But Whole gives me a chance to play, as you mentioned, those New Zealand censored versions, because this time around with Fractured But Whole, I will not get it on PS4, I will get it on PC, and I will probably, chuck on a VPN to make sure when I purchase it from the Ubisoft store, I purchase it from the US store, and get the US version with all those censored scenes included.
Yeah. I think you're all right, man. I think you can buy it on the New Zealand. I think the New Zealand version on Steam is fine.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but I would double check that. I'm 90% sure it's fine because I think I was talking with people who got it on Steam and getting really angry because they were describing scenes that I missed. But yeah, I think that should be fine. But maybe just double check that and just in case. But,
do we have a release date on that game yet? Is it March?
No, there's no actual release date. I think it's Q1 of this year. Let me just double check that. It's
So it would most likely be March.
Yeah, February, March.
Yeah. It's that seems like an appropriate release date for it. At the moment, it just says 2017.
Okay.
But I remember, it was supposed to come out in December last year, right? So it can't be delayed that much.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I would say in the next 2 to 3 months we'll have our hands on that bad boy.
That's exciting.
But, yeah, Balthazar, what do you think is going to be the biggest boxo shit?
Oh, so this one, I was really hoping Regan was going in the same direction as me initially when he said he was going to say something and it was going to be hard to say and he thought people might not agree. Mine's a big game. It's going to be a big release.
A big one.
Probably a lot of people have it as one of the most anticipated games for this year.
Ooh.
I think it's been well overhyped. I think it's probably going to be a 7 out of 10. So far from the worst game of the year.
Yeah,
but
a big old shitbox.
Expecting it to be a 10 out of 10 when it releases and they realise it's just another generic open world collectathon.
I think I know where you're going with this.
So mine is a little known PS4 exclusive titled Horizon Zero Dawn. I believe this game is not what people think it's going to be, i.e., revolutionary, groundbreaking new way at playing a fucking open world game. From what I've seen of gameplay, doesn't seem to have much for plot at all. It's just bump into average Joe on the street who's like, look out for that village down the road, kill 10 gobbly wobblies and come see me. And then she goes and does it. And it honestly, it just looks like every other generic open world game out there. but they've got a pretty cool looking combat mechanic for it. I don't think that mechanic alone is going to carry it to meet people's
I'm concerned it's going to be just a Far Cry. Just another Far Cry.
Yeah. Another towers and collectibles game.
Exactly, yeah. I to be honest, I was freaking out. I thought you were going to say Zelda Breath of the Wild.
Oh.
Yeah, but no. I'm relieved. I'm relieved.
So I don't by any means think it's going to be the worst game of the year. I think it'll still probably be a pretty solid title to hold its own, but I'm predicting 7 out of 10s for it, and I think there's going to be a massive outcry that they misled people and that it wasn't what people wanted or expected.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard some snippets of things about people who have played little bits of it, and it does sound like there might be some towers in there, let's just say, which doesn't have me excited. I thought we were done with that. But in guerrilla games, we trust until proven guilty.
Yeah. What's wrong with just a good Fog of War, Fog of World thing where you just explore that area and there's nothing wrong with that. But,
it's, I don't know. We'll see. That's coming out pretty soon, right? That's coming out early March, is it?
Shortly. Let me have a quick
look. Might even be late February.
Yeah, it's very soon. I know I think Mass Effect comes out after it.
It's 28th of February.
Oh, 28th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's really soon.
Yep. So
that's just less than a month.
Yeah.
Less than a month.
Just less than a month. Yep.
Wow.
So
okay. Interesting. That's definitely a controversial one, but I do see where you're coming from on that, Balthazar. It seems like people may have got their hopes up a bit high for that one.
Yeah.
So we'll see. 7 out of 10, you reckon? I'll just jot that down. All right. Well, I've already revealed my the game I think is going to be the best, which is the same as yours, Balthazar, which is South Park Fractured But Whole. Hugely awaiting that game. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Stick of Truth was probably my game. Might have been my game of the year that year. I can't remember when it came out. I got it on 360, and I remember playing through it and just being like, "This is the best elongated episode of South Park they've done in probably like 5 years." Because South Park had a bit of a dry spell where it was a bit rubbish, and I think Matt and Trey, it kind of felt quite uninspired. And I think Matt and Trey, because they had been doing it for about 15 years at that point, 16 years, it was getting a bit worn, and they'd moved on to other things like the Book of Mormon, the musical they were doing, and things like that. So it did feel a bit uninspired. Then the video game came out, and obviously mucking around with a different medium brought some of that creativity, that spark back to them. And Stick of Truth just ended up being maybe the funniest game I've ever played. I remember laughing out loud multiple times during that game. So, yeah, really looking forward to Fractured But Whole. I think it's going to be phenomenal. Now, my biggest shitbox probably won't surprise you guys too much, considering how much general disdain we have for this developer most of the time.
Okay.
But I remember the first trailer coming out for this, and it was fully cinematic. And it looked really good, but obviously it was a fully cinematic trailer. It doesn't give you any idea of what the game's going to be like. Everyone lost their mind over this game when the first trailer came out. Oh, open world. Oh, you can ride motorbikes. Oh, you can do this. Oh, you're a mercenary. This game is Ghost Recon Wildlands.
Ah, yes.
Everything I've seen from this game looks garbage. Absolute garbage. It just looks like the most generic, boring open world militia type game I've seen in years. It's just everything about it just screams no personality. There's just nothing at all that makes this game want to stand out. I remember watching, I think they showed it off at E3 last year.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
And it was so boring. It was just really, and Ubisoft obviously never quite understands what people want, so they had actors playing, being like, oh, Roger, yeah, move over here, Delta Charlie, all that bollocks. And it just made that did not help with the presentation. But the game just looks so bollocks. It looks like Far Cry, essentially, Regan. It looks like go to this base, mark everyone, kill everyone, leave. It looks exactly like that. It's just, very, very generic, very sans personality, essentially. So I think that's going to be the biggest shitbox of the year, and I would say that is probably going to get a 6.
6. Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty reasonable score because it's going to be one of those games, and we know that Ubisoft kind of does this. Their games are okay. You know, the games are okay, but they certainly never push any boundaries.
No.
They don't take particular risks or anything like that. So I think you're right. I think 6 is probably 5 or 6.
Ubisoft makes really nice open worlds. You've got to give them that. Their open worlds are just lovely to look at, and they really nail, the feel of being in Venice or wherever the bloody hell Far Cry was set, Tibet or something like that. I think Far Cry 4. They really nail that sort of that feeling and being that immersion. But the game, the game loop that they have is just boring. It wears on you within sort of the first half hour. Just like, we're doing this again, are we? Yeah. All right, well, go gather 9 tapir skins, I guess. Make this wallet, but
make the wallet for the non-existent cash that.
Yeah, even that. Like, why do you have to have a wallet to carry money that you're running around in the bush? Why do you need a wallet? Just ridiculous. Anyway, yeah, that's my biggest shitbox, and I think. Watch Dogs 2 was good, Regan. You gave that a really solid review. And that seemed like Ubisoft was pulling themselves up from the dirt somewhat. They obviously are working on that new Assassin's Creed, which will, I reckon, will probably be coming out late this year. And all sort of signs point to Egypt. They've also said they're reworking it from the ground up. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. But Ghost Recon looks like a bunch of bullshit.
Yep. With you.
Yep. So, that being said... Balthazar has his second of the top 10. This is a feature we've been doing for 3 months, maybe? Something like that? 2 or 3 months.
And it's a slow burn, this one.
It's a very slow burn. Yeah, it's definitely a slow burn. And these are our top, our personal top 10 games of all time. So, Balthazar, do you want to take it away, man?
Let me open up my list here, because the thing is, I like to, as I did my first revealed game was Warcraft 3, and it was when I got back into World of Warcraft. And I like to tie things into what I've been playing, but we put a memoriam on talking about Kingdom Hearts, so see you everyone, bye, end of the podcast.
Oh. No, okay.
My second game of my top 10 is Kingdom Hearts.
As a franchise?
As a franchise, if I have to pick one game, it would be number 2.
Yep.
Which is a probably generic answer. 2 is kind of acknowledged as the best in the series in terms of they learned from number 1.
It's like the Final Fantasy 7 or 8 of...
They just kind of refined everything down so that it did what you wanted to. It responded sleekly to your controls.
Yep.
The exploration aspects were more focused and refined, so you got to do a bit of it, but it was never the focus. They weren't open world games; they were linear story games with some exploration. Really, I'm trying to think of why I put it on my list, because my list isn't just like all our lists. It's not just necessarily our favourite 10 games. It's the games that kind of made us into the gamers we are, kind of thing, and that we will always hold a special place for, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's because Kingdom Hearts as a franchise made me the gamer I am. These days, I play a lot of the same games.
Yep.
Usually online games, usually with microtransactions, and I usually spend money on microtransactions. And I think in a weird way, it's from my love of Kingdom Hearts when I was younger. Kingdom Hearts is a franchise that has spanned probably 8 or 9 different consoles at this point. I've played them all. Now, it's only in the past few years that they've been re-releasing them on PS3 and PS4, condensed as all of the versions from the different consoles combined. I purchased the different consoles to play the different games on. Growing up, been no stranger to I need to spend more money than I should on this game to get the most out of it and to have the most fun with it. So in a way, this franchise set me up as being someone who was always going to be happy to pay a subscription fee for Final Fantasy XIV, and who was always going to be happy to buy cosmetic skins in Overwatch and stuff like that. So it's weird because it's a negative thing. I think microtransactions are fucking stupid, and developers have got to stop doing it because there are stupid suckers like me who just fork out all their money for these stupid cosmetic things. But I think Kingdom Hearts put that in me, and so because of that, it was a solid game that also, in an indirect way, did kind of shape what I am prepared to do in games, what I'm prepared to pay for games.
Interesting.
And it's kind of, I love like probably my favorite game right now that I go back to constantly and I jam all the time is a split between Overwatch and Final Fantasy 14.
Yep.
And they are both games that, had I not been initially prepared when I purchased them to know that down the track I'm going to spend more money on this. Like for 14, I have to keep my subscription going, and for Overwatch, when events come out, if I can't play them as much as I want to, I buy loot boxes to try and get the limited access skins kind of thing. I may not have as much fun with them. I may not enjoy them as much, and that's something I'm prepared to do because it was always put in my mind from when I was younger that JRPGs especially, that's what Kingdom Hearts were a fucking commitment, not just a game that you picked up.
It's a way of life, man.
Yeah, exactly, and they really are. It's a cultural difference thing. Like in Japan, they really are a way of life. Like if you play a JRPG, it's, you do. It's what you do. You go hard. You go home from work and you just fucking play it for 10 hours. And you 100% that thing, and you get all the ultimate weapons and abilities and everything. And yeah, Kingdom Hearts was the soft core entry to that sort of genre and way of thinking and gameplay style for me, because it was kiddie and Disney and fun that way. So it kind of, you didn't realise how big of a, like I mentioned earlier, the rabbit hole that the franchise became. You didn't realise how deep you were getting when you started. So it was my introduction to JRPGs as a whole, and to being a horrible person with money for games.
For reinforcing those, those business models that are now staples.
Exactly. So yeah, no, I do, talking to the game itself, it's great. The first and second ones on PS2 were, I would say, definitely the most solid entry.
Very fun games.
I recommend, I know I mentioned earlier, probably Dream Drop Distance would be the one I'd rank at the top, but actually replaying it on PS4, 2 is definitely the most solid game in the series.
Yep.
And so even if you don't have the patience for playing through everything, and it all gets too convoluted and too confusing, 1 and 2 are very simple. There's Kingdom Hearts, then there's Kingdom Hearts 2. The story of 2 follows on from 1. Yeah, there's a bit of a gap in there. There's like a 2-year or something in between, in which you don't know what happened there, but it doesn't really matter. Like, you just play 1, then you play 2, and they're solid, fun games. You don't need to get in super deep to the franchise. I recommend them both. Especially March this year, when the PS4 remakes come out that do have all the games on the one disc. So you can just play 1 and 2, and if you decide you do want to go that bit further, play everything else as well.
There you go.
Following through. Is there a physical version of that coming out, or is it all digital?
There is, yeah. So it will be releasing as a physical box thing, case.
And you're going to buy the collector's edition, aren't you?
There hasn't been one announced. No, it will depend on what's with it. I did get the collector's editions of the PS3 remakes.
Right, yeah.
They came with art books. So if it's the same deal, just art books, I honestly wouldn't, because I have them now.
What if they were new art books?
They can't be. If they are, they're just making up art and claiming it as concept art at this stage. Because they've already released the concept art books. Like, it's out there. So if there's any more, it's shit they've generated since then to try and get you to buy more.
Sure.
I will.
I just imagine
that I'll 100% buy it. Yeah.
I just imagine one of the art books is just a whole bunch of Final Fantasy 15 concept art with like crudely, Mickey Mouse head like photoshopped onto it.
They put like a key head on the end for all the swords.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks for that, man. We'll dive into, I think it might be yours, Regan. Third top 10.
Third, yeah.
I think so. Yeah, we're into our third round now.
So we'll get into that next week. As a final thought, we're just wrapping up here. We actually did a live stream the other day of Grand Theft Auto 5. Obviously, a very new game. Going to get a lot of hits with that one. But we just thought it'd be fun to stream something and yarn over top of it. So we discussed topics such as rappers' real life locations in Los Angeles. I did a bit of a Los Santos rap tour, so that was quite fun. We also discussed ukulele in some detail, and we just got up to some roaming around and having fun with GTA. So that was really good. So that's on the Overcast Gamer YouTube channel, which you can find by googling Overcast Gamer YouTube. I can't read out our YouTube URL because it includes a whole bunch of gibberish at the moment. So we'd appreciate, any further subscriptions and stuff would be great. Once we get to 100, we can actually have a custom URL, which will be phenomenal. So for the moment, check our website, overcastgamer.com, or just Google Overcast Gamer YouTube, and you'll be able to track us down. So thank you again, everyone, for tuning in. Any last words, guys?
No. Have a good one. a doubly good one. Balthazar?
I was trying to think of a fun word, but I just had a mild stroke. So
No.
Well, I think we could leave it there then.
Yeah.
I better call an ambulance. See you guys.